Unassuming and easygoing, it's hard to believe how Chris Emms has managed to wedge himself into so much trouble. He's stuck in a no man's land, caught in the middle of a dangerous and frightening power play between enemies, North Korea and the United States. It started innocently enough when he was invited to the rogue nation for a cryptocurrency conference. A bit of a geek, Chris thought it'd be fun, but the US got wind of his visit and decided there was evil in the adventure. He's now wanted by the FBI, accused of involvement in circumventing international sanctions, and is facing lengthy jail time. The city of Jeddah in Saudi Arabia might be an intriguing place to spend a few days, but Chris Emms' enthusiasm for this city is understandably wearing thin after being stranded here for 6 long months. Life must feel pretty surreal at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. It's definitely not where I imagine myself to be at this point in my life.
Chris is trapped in an excruciating and indefinite legal limbo. Extraordinarily, this happy-go-lucky Englishman is now on the FBI's most wanted list, accused of being an international criminal mastermind. It must be the weirdest day of your life when you see your own face on an FBI wanted poster.
Gosh, it's not what you want your mum to see, that's for sure. It's terrifying, to be honest. I've got 2 choices right now. Either I give in and submit to the situation, or I stand up strong and I fight it and I stand up for what I believe is the right thing to do.
Chris was detained 6 months ago at the behest of the United States after attending a conference in Saudi Arabia, and he's been banned from leaving the country ever since. The victim of what he insists is one almighty misunderstanding. The 30-year-old's been charged with the most serious of crimes, attempting to violate sanctions against North Korea, the world's most reclusive state. Charges that could see him spend the next 20 years in jail.
I've had my dark days, to be honest, Tom, but the best way I've found to deal with it is to keep an upbeat attitude to the whole thing. But, this is very serious. I mean, I'm looking to up to 20 years inside a federal US prison. That's not a joke for anyone.
A few years ago, Chris Emms was living out his dreams. An expert in cryptocurrency, he trotted the globe as a regular on the crypto conference circuit.
I'm here just, so I'm the CEO.
Sometimes speaking at 1 or 2 events a week.
Sorry, it's very quick. I'm just trying to plow through it because I know there's a lot of speakers.
There was a crypto conference anywhere in the world you could imagine, any day in the world. So I'd got on this circuit. I was a young guy, so, it was a great experience to really just travel the world and, earn a little bit of money doing it.
So anyway, thank you very much for your time. And
it was towards the end of 2018 that Chris got a strange message in his inbox asking if he'd be interested in taking part in an upcoming event. It was to be held in April 2019 in Pyongyang, billed as North Korea's first ever cryptocurrency conference.
To be honest, I thought it was an odd request, as you would. But, delving into it a bit more, I thought this would be a very interesting and quirky thing to do.
Surely part of you says, I'm pretty sure doing business with North Korea is illegal.
I think, we need to rewind a bit to the context of what was going on at the time in the world. So, before we went, you had the then US President Donald Trump hugging the leader of North Korea. There was very much a toned-down sort of détente attitude going. So I instinctively went and checked, is this legal? But did a bit of research on, the UN sanctions to see whether speaking at a conference would be illegal. Didn't see that as the case, so decided to go ahead and say yes.
The invitation came from Spaniard Alejandro a man we know very well on 60 Minutes.
If North Korea is attacked nuclearly by the United States, the world will end as we know it.
Alejandro is the founder of the Korean Friendship Association, the lone foreigner who acts as a gatekeeper and great defender of the Hermit Kingdom.
In the country, they are our parents, the parents of the nation and the parents of our ideology.
He was our guide on our first trip to the country in 2015. How big is the nuclear arsenal?
Of course, it's a secret, but I can say that it's around 15, 20 nuclear missiles, but again, with capability to strike any part of the world, any, including Australia if necessary.
Our story provided a handy resource for the Americans when, at the same time as Chris Emms, Alejandro was also named as one of the FBI's most wanted.
I can facilitate you all kind of contacts directly with our state companies or any department or ministry in the country. This is no problem.
In recent years, Alejandro's true colours have been revealed by a hidden camera sting that showed him trying to subvert sanctions and secure weapons deals for the North Korean regime.
You know that you must have people that you can fully trust, because if only one goes to the CIA, only one, you are forever.
But at the time he got his invitation, Chris Emms insists he had no idea sanctions violations were the motive. So what specifically was the pitch? You were going to be a keynote speaker?
Yeah, so I was going to speak. I was also asked if I knew anyone else in the industry, the cryptocurrency blockchain industry, that would like to attend. Absolutely no one that I asked did attend. So that should have probably given me a warning, but it didn't. So really was just rocking up there and, seeing what would happen.
North Korea's nuclear ambitions are a serious business, a relentless pursuit of weapons of mass destruction that's led to the most severe sanctions anywhere in the world.
So sanctions are hitting North Korea pretty hard, and trade has basically collapsed. So what North Korea wants to do is essentially find any and all means to get around the sanctions and to make money. That's really what they want to do.
So it's pretty crippling.
It's pretty crippling, yes.
North Korea expert Professor Justin Hastings from Sydney University says in more recent years, Kim Jong-un has gone to extreme lengths to bring in the cash any way he can. And so, in this secretive rogue state, sanctions busting is all about survival. If the North Korean regime is told that's illegal, do they care?
No, from their perspective, they don't care, right? I mean, they view any sanction that's placed on them, either from the US or even from the UN, as basically a sign of US hostility to North Korea. Sort of the idea of that legality is sort of relevant to how North Korea operates is just, I think, is a Western concept.
Chris was one of 8 foreigners lured to Pyongyang to take part in the conference, while puppet master Alejandro remained half a world away in Spain. After a boozy few nights in North Korea, eventually the event got underway in Pyongyang's showpiece Sci-Tech complex. Such was the farcical nature of the conference, Chris even turned up in a North Korean outfit he'd bought at a Pyongyang market as a joke.
That was the way we were getting through it. It was just a bit of a laugh. If I were going to expound the intricacies of sanctions evasion, would I wear a silly Mao suit in the middle of a room? And would I have been up the night before drinking vodka and singing karaoke? Probably not.
You've spoken at cryptocurrency conferences around the world. How did the one in Pyongyang compare?
I wouldn't call it a conference whatsoever. There were probably around 30 to 40 people in the room. None of them seemed to be at all engaged in what we were doing. They seemed like they had been, ordered to come here. There was really no one there that I would consider, obviously I'm not an expert, but no one there I would consider to be at all interested in cryptocurrency. And to be honest, most people were falling asleep in the room. I even fell asleep at one point. It was really that dull and boring.
But the US Justice Department thinks otherwise. Releasing these pictures, they claim capture a presentation on how to avoid sanctions. Yet Chris is adamant there was nothing discussed that couldn't have been found by a simple search online.
It really was like a performing monkey, put in a room, no real preparation, nothing whatsoever. Do the show, dance the dance.
So when you flew out of Pyongyang, did you sort of think to yourself, well, that was weird, but anyway, on with the rest of my life?
Yeah, really. I honestly thought, that's it, that's done, let's move on with our life. What a quirky thing to have done.
9 months later, Chris Emms got a frightening wake-up call when one of the other members of the trip was suddenly arrested.
So hi everyone, I'm Virgil.
Maverick cryptocurrency developer Virgil Griffith eventually pled guilty to helping North Korea evade sanctions and was jailed for more than 5 years. But it became clear the FBI had the organisers of the conference in its sights.
And it was really, to be honest with you, it was a sort of 180 change in my whole life from that point.
If anyone understands North Korean mouthpiece Alejandro and the way he operates, it's Ulrich Larsen.
Alejandro, good to see you again. I'm very pleased to be here. Always, you know.
The former Danish chef spent 10 years undercover, exposing North Korea's illicit arms trade for the extraordinary documentary, The Mole. Is Alejandro Caldebenos a man to be trusted?
Not at all. He's a cheater, he's a liar. I would even go that far to use the word he's a narcissist or psychopath. If you don't follow him, you don't exist in his world.
Ulrich infiltrated Alejandro's Korean Friendship Association, rising through its ranks to become his right-hand man. Little did the Spaniard know that Ulrich was fitted with secret cameras and filming everything as Alejandro tried to cut deals for weapons and drug production.
We are under very, very heavy sanctions, as you may know, from the United Nations. So we have a parallel way to do things. Weapons actually is our main, but the problem is weapons in the moment that it's very, very complicated subject. But weapons, we can build submarines factory. We can build tank factories, missiles, all made in DPRK.
I'm just taking notes.
In his 10 years undercover, Ulrich would reveal not just the real Alejandro, but the dark underbelly of the regime's clandestine deals.
Well, I think I uncovered quite well how the North Korean do the sanction busting and how easy it is to go in if you have the money and want to buy illegal things from North Korea or do business with them. It's possible. So Alejandro is the man to go through if you want to do business with North Korea. But hopefully now people have seen that he's not the guy to go to.
Do you think he's a criminal?
Well, I think we exposed that quite well in The Mole. He's a criminal and he's a cheater, really.
Thanks to Alejandro, and arguably his own stupidity, crypto geek Chris Emms eventually found himself in deep trouble. More than 2 years after the arrest of fellow conference attendee Virgil Griffith, the FBI finally caught up with him. In February this year, he was seized at Riyadh Airport as he headed home from another crypto event in Saudi Arabia.
I was sort of pulled away into a little ante-room. And we sat there for maybe 20 minutes. And these guys just had reams and reams of paper, printed out paper. And then eventually they just said the words to me, America. Then I was led into the cells and locked away.
That moment where all of a sudden you're locked up in Saudi Arabia for alleged crimes in North Korea, you must scratch your head and think, how on earth did my life end up here?
Absolutely. It's that surreal feeling. You still wonder, how did this happen to me? Yesterday I was at a conference sipping coffee and chatting to someone. Today I'm sat in jail in an airport in Saudi Arabia.
After a short stint in custody, Chris was freed on bail, but he's now stuck in Saudi Arabia, banned by a court from leaving the country as the US seeks his extradition. The main accusation against you is that you helped organise this cryptocurrency conference. Is that right?
No, that's completely incorrect. So obviously, I was named on the website as an organiser, but I would have no power to organise a conference in North Korea. It's not the sort of place where you can ring up and book a venue and arrange a trip. I had absolutely no power in this situation to do it, even if I so wished to. So that charge is completely inaccurate.
Were you paid to speak at the conference?
Absolutely not. In fact, we all paid. So we all paid 5,000 euro, which we paid in cash. It's an odd concept, right, that you would pay for the privilege of committing a crime. It doesn't make any sense to me.
With no extradition treaty between Saudi Arabia and the US, Chris has spent the last 6 months in limbo with no end in sight.
My days mostly are spent in the hotel room. The US government froze all my bank accounts, so I have to rely on the grace and mercy of friends and family, really, to pay my daily expenses and my hotel bills. It's really a case now for the Saudi authorities to make a decision as to whether they wish to extradite me or whether they wish to let me go on my way.
What do you think will happen if you do get extradited to the US?
Yeah, well, I don't believe I'll get a fair trial. If you put in front of any jury, if you put the words sanctions, North Korea and cryptocurrency, it's going to be very hard to find an unbiased jury, in my view.
North Korea expert Professor Justin Hastings suspects Chris Emms has become an easy target in this war of attrition between the US and North Korea.
Why would they come down hard on this particular conference? It's possible because it was so public, right? It was sort of well known. There were sort of multiple people who were involved. It's sort of pretty easy to show that you participate in this conference, and so that's why they might do it. But certainly, you can imagine any sanctions violation prosecution is going to be designed to discourage other people from potentially even thinking about it.
For Ulrich Larsen, the mole who infiltrated deep into North Korea, it's Alejandro Caldebenos who is squarely to blame for the plight of Christopher Emms.
I'm just really shocked now to hear that he is among the most wanted by the FBI. And for him sitting in Saudi Arabia must be terrible. It's completely wrong for him to be in that situation.
So wrong place, wrong time.
Exactly. He really got caught up in Alejandro's spider web.
Alejandro, you happy to start?
Yeah.
We confronted Alejandro about his sanctions-busting efforts last year. You've been heavily implicated in international deals for weapons and drugs. Were you embarrassed to see that footage come out? And this time, he was the one who felt like he'd walked into a trap.
That was not why I was coming here for the interview. I thank you very much and see you another time.
Alejandro, I can see you there. What's your objection here? We just want to get your response.
It's out the door, guys.
Alejandro has left the building?
Yeah.
The FBI might be after Alejandro, but he's living in freedom in Spain, prevented from extradition by the Spanish Constitution. There's no such protection for Chris Emms, though, whose anxiety about his future is only matched by the regret that he ever went to North Korea in the first place. Do you feel like you were duped by Alejandro Caldebenos?
Yeah, I do. I do, Tom, because why would you put someone who has got no connection really to North Korea, that is, a young entrepreneur at the beginning of what turned out to be, until all this kicked off, a successful career, and really ruin his life? My life is really ruined. I mean, I've got no career ahead of me now. Even if we prevail here and the indictment is removed, the stigma is always there.
For just how long he'll have to remain a wanted man is anyone's guess.
It feels like I've been left out as this sort of sacrificial lamb, having really not done, in my view, not done anything wrong. You really can't make it up. It's really, I would say to people, it's a bit like living in a James Bond movie.
Except they think you're the bad guy, not the good guy.
Absolutely, but me being this kind of international criminal sanctions-dodging mastermind is just not me.
Hello, I'm Tom Steinfort. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minutes segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au, as well as the 9Now app.